Hey guys, what's going on? Jim, the Nomadic Manhunter, here with my friends from Florida, Camden and Fatine. So, hey guys, how
Hey,
you doing?
very good. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. So, we're starting this one over because the first one actually didn't go well. But let's just talk about who you guys are and what do you do.
Okay, I start. My name is Fatine, and we're the founders of Permacultura, which is a nonprofit. And what we basically do is we're totally into permaculture. We are both teachers. Like I finished my master's degree in education 2 years ago, and my subjects were philosophy and English. So what we basically want to try to do is open up a homeschool with a holistic approach, and at the same time apply permaculture and put it in our curriculum.
Awesome.
Very good intro.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. My name is Cameron Long. I'm from Virginia. I live down here in Orlando, Florida. I'm currently a student. I love gardening. I love permaculture. I love helping people. I love really making a difference in this world. And not to be so cliche or anything, but literally growing food and producing your energy and teaching that and holding free workshops and empowering your friends, empowering your family and your community.
Mhm.
And that's the real step to having full freedom, not just in your city or this state or this country, but around the world. And we can really do this. And I really believe it. I'm so passionate about this, and I'm happy to be on the show. It's fun to have me and Jim. Real quick story. We actually met in Puerto Rico the first time,
2008.
and I didn't even know who he was. I trusted him with a whole bunch of money up front and everything. Kind of funny. But anyway, but we met and everything was really cool. We went surfing, and from then on, no contact for like 2 years. And thanks to the internet and social networks like Facebook and stuff like that, we were able to reconnect. And one time when he was actually in Costa Rica, and I actually sent him a video of the Raw Bras, and they actually happened to be down there at the same time that he was down there. So it's, that's kind of that infinite consciousness, synchronicity
Yeah,
kind of
definitely.
thing falling into place. And, you know, I didn't even get into raw food until like 2.5 years ago, really. And it's amazing how fast your life can change when you get on a path of mentally and physically and spiritually trying to transform your life and dedicating yourself not to this to the side of fear,
Yeah.
because everything behind fear is like the hate and the anger, and that leads to confusion and frustration. And it could be a bright sunny day and you could feel like you're living in a dungeon.
Yep.
And I think it's important to try to understand what people are going through and have compassion, and just keep living and loving every day, and going through the ups and downs. And it's all, you have to stay positive through everything, but I think it's important to embrace what you feel. And if you're going through something, then just take the time to go through it, and you'll be a better person, and talk to people that support you and love you. And that's the most important thing. Yeah.
And empower people. Empower people. People
Yeah.
that maybe need help or something, who are in a situation they can get out of. This is what we want to try to do. We want to be helpers somehow, right?
Yeah, because it's actually real quick. We had a crazy 6 months actually.
Yeah.
I know, like, people have lived at their briefcases and their suitcases, traveling and stuff, but we've done the opposite of that actually, and been forced to move 5 times in 6 months, with moving everything in, like, a little car. And it's been a wild ride, but we've learned so much from this. And I've actually almost been unemployed for a whole year, and we've been able to maintain and keep going strong. And we've learned so much, and we really understand what people are going through. And I've not, and this is like the first time in my life I've ever experienced some of these things in financial times, and it didn't really hit. It hit hard this year, and I can't imagine what some families are going through. Like, say you have a great job and you have kids and you have a beautiful wife and everything's going smooth, and all of a sudden one day the business closed down
Yeah.
because of too much of whatever it is, and it closes down for whatever reason. And then that person's out of a job. They can't pay rent. They can't pay insurance. And then all of a sudden, they may possibly lose their marriage and then possibly lose their kids. And but when you multiply that over tens of millions of hundreds of millions of people around the world, you create so much chaotic behavior. And right now, I really feel like what we've been listening to a lot of David Icke lately, and Naomi Klein,
Naomi Klein,
and
yeah.
she talks about shock, like.
She basically wrote the book The Shock Doctrine. I think it came out a couple of years ago. And what she's talking about is that she's analyzing society, and she's analyzing how governments put society under shock by constantly bringing bad news and media channels, by constantly exposing fear to the people, like for example, taking away freedoms, taking away your rights. You're not allowed to grow food in your own garden anymore, which is absolutely crazy, you know. And they're putting people into a state of shock where they can't move anymore. And this is basically what they want, because it's like in the animal world, like when you touch, for example, a little bug, it falls into a state of shock and it doesn't move anymore. And this is what they want from us, because they don't want us to be active. They don't want us to question what they're imposing on us. And we're actually here to break all this. We want to mobilize people, and we want to create an awareness that we have to fight for our freedom if we want to be free.
Yeah. Now, first off, in the beginning when you were talking about that, how we met and everything, it was so weird. I was literally going over that exact conversation, so that's why I was laughing. And how, because of you, actually, this is the person you're looking at him right there, Camden over there, is pretty much probably the main reason why I'm doing what I do, because we met up in 2008, went to Puerto Rico, then lost connection, talked about Costa Rica because he went there, then I went, and then we learned pretty much just, how is it like living in an inner city in like a second or third world country, seeing people how happy they are with not having so many different things that, stupid stuff that we take for granted. Then it's buy a laptop and go to school or buy a car. You don't have a choice of having all three. You get one or the other. And then you're working maybe 16 hours a week. Oh, I'm sorry, 16 hours a day. And I mean, it was a complete mind and, just changer all over for me. And then I came back to Florida, I did a road trip, and I stopped and hung out with you at the first place that we'll talk about, the Jasmine one. And then it was just like, holy crap. Like everything just kind of kicked off, and I started networking and doing all these other things. And here we are today, and that's another story we could talk about. But so growing food is the main thing that we have to do. Over the last 100 years, we have lost mainly gardening skills, and the last 2 generations or so, it's been lost. There's things that I should have, gotten answers from my great grandfather, and I can't get them today. And that's the sad thing, because it never got passed on. And now the cool thing with the internet is that we actually have the ability to do that. Now there's really no excuses. We have no more excuse to not learn something new. With all the new, people are like, oh, I live in a city, I can't do it. Well, now look at all the stuff about vertical growing and hydroponics, aquaponics, and just all the different stuff. And now you're more of an urban type of grower. And that's the thing, that's why I like you're on the show, because we can talk about more of the urban growing and in Florida and how everything's backwards. And, from now we're starting to grow certain things, and it's your grow season. Meanwhile, you've been already doing this for a couple months now, and you're going through a rainy season, right?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. In about 3 to 4 or 5 years, Florida is actually going to be the 3rd largest state in the nation with over 20 million people. And it's growing really, really fast here. It really, really is. And the thing that really gets me is we have a lot of families that are geographically isolated. So you have a lot of children growing up in environments classified as food deserts. And if you didn't know, outside of the Disney World and the theme park land, there's more McDonald's and Burger Kings and KFCs in Orlando than any other city in the nation. More than LA, more than New York City, more than Miami, everywhere. And actually Orlando has one of the highest crime rates also in the entire nation, and we never hear about this stuff. So there's so many families that are having to grow up in apartment-like complexes, townhomes, and condos where space is very, very limited, and majority of the time there's GMO grass around their area. So this does
Chemwall.
create this creates a lot of challenges, but with every challenge is an opportunity to be more creative and be more innovative, and that's what we like. We like challenges because we're problem solvers, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting right now is that let me get this thing on real quick. The interesting thing is that right now we have the March Against Monsanto on Saturday, which is really great. I love it. Um, of course, these companies should be having to label what they put in their food in their ingredient list. I mean, that's just basic intellect, you know. And but of course, they don't want you to know what's exactly in there. So once they get enough votes and enough people start making enough noise, then they're gonna do it, and they already know that. Like the other day, I was driving by with Fatine at a Moe's, which is kind of like a little burrito place down here, and the billboard was actually I was a baby with a beard, and it was like hormones, and I was like, oh my god. And then like in the small print on the bottom, it said Moe's now features all natural chicken, and one all natural doesn't mean anything. It's like what is it?
It's a bird.
Yeah, all natural doesn't mean anything at all.
No, basically, it's interesting. We went like to a big shopping mall and got this organics explained card. So all natural means foods that do not contain any artificial or synthetic substances and no added colors. But it doesn't mean that it has hormones or because I mean hormones are not artificial and they're not synthetic necessarily. So
or antibiotics, or yeah.
yeah, exactly. So all natural means actually it's not organic and it's not healthy. The other thing is that made me kind of curious is about the USDA sticker, and I informed myself about that. And when the shelf tag is with a USDA organic icon, then it actually just means that the product is certified by the USDA, made with 95% or more organic ingredients.
95%.
So
the carrots that I ate are 5% not organic. Possibly.
maybe. Mhm.
Possibly.
Possibly.
The 5% of that information is undisclosed.
That's
So-
pretty much saying that you can still have, if you want, if you're a big company, you got to think about it, these big companies are the only ones that can truly afford to pay the penalty to get this certification on their package without technically being organic. You know, it's like, hey, you can still have it, but because you're not really fully organic, you just have to pay a little bit more, and we'll give you the certification anyways.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and the thing is that all these companies know they're going to have to label GMO foods and label antibiotics and hormones, and they're just going to keep doing it, and it's just going to be more corporate lies. And that's the thing. I'm going to go personally to this march on Saturday because I'm interested in it. I want to see the people there. I want to see the culture. I want to see what people are talking about, and I want to see what it's about. Just go there and feel it, have that experience and say, I went at least. And I'm doing the action part also. I'm not just out there with a sign saying we need to do this. We're getting in the soil. We're getting our hands around the shovel and the leaves and the plants and the roots and the water and the sun. We're getting that, a little too much sun in the afternoon, but that's what life is about. We're loving it, And my point of saying this is that these companies know that. And you have a lot of celebrities and stars already promoting these, quote, vegetarian days. But it's like... it's like, okay, don't eat meat because of the carbon footprint and all the transportation that's involved and the petroleum that's involved and the food that's involved to feed these animals. So let's switch to soy burgers and let's switch to tofu burgers or whatever kind of burger they're making, And this is the same kind of monocrop destruction, and it keeps degrading the soil. It still uses all the oil, and the same people are getting the same profit. So the point being is that if we want these companies out of our lives, and if we want to have real freedom and to taste real food and to know that it's organic, we have to grow this food ourselves.
Now, we've all traveled. All three of us have traveled to different countries where they had organic food. I
Yeah.
have stomach problems, and it mainly came down to being in America. When I was eating food here that was low quality, it was good quality, quote unquote, but as soon as I went out of the country and I started eating, street food and stuff, I thought I was going to be like the worst person and be like, oh, my stomach hurts, I got to go, and nothing happened. I just felt better. And then I realized it's all because these foods, like the chicken is killed that day if you order a chicken sandwich. Back in Puerto Rico, that chicken was dead that morning and it would live a good life out in the backyard. And the fruits and vegetables were picked and they were grown organically, not organic seeds grown conventionally. I mean organic, like it rained on it, they maybe watered it, and that's about it. They didn't put chemicals on it. And that's the problem with, you know, organic seeds being grown conventionally. That's why you have the different classification. If you want to talk about that too, I know we're going to go over that.
Uh-huh. And the
Yeah.
same with me. I'm from Germany. I was born in Berlin and I was raised there. Yeah, I traveled a lot due to my job. I was modeling sometime and stuff. And the thing is, like in Europe, you have way stricter rules and regulations when it comes to organic produce. And what appeared funny to me, I'd been to the States before. I'd been to LA and stuff. But when I came to Florida, I was like very surprised how high the prices for organic food are. Compared to Germany, I mean, almost two times more. People here pay almost two times more than people in Germany for something that is 95% organic. Yeah, you always have the possibility that you have 5% of hormones, additives, colorings, whatever inside that makes you sick. Because basically, what people need to understand is if they keep on eating conventional food, if they keep on eating food that is genetically modified, why genetically modified? David Icke made a good point. He said because what they want to do is they want to genetically modify our DNA, and this is exactly what they do.
There was a thing. It was like a spoof. It was like, what was it? It was like old man. Yeah, it was old man Santo had a farm.
Yeah, right. I saw
And
this one.
at the end, they were like, processed food makes processed people, and that's where we're going. Like,
Exactly.
we're becoming, that term sheeple, and everyone follows no matter what they say, as long as it's on the TV, it's true. And that's why most people start to outreach to these alternative news sites and all, and because they don't want to be one of those people that just listen to whatever they say. The news is completely altered now, and now the food that we're getting is completely altered and going
But
to be,
but
not just
why?
the crops too, but the fish and all this other stuff that, you know, I'm more of a conspiracy theorist, I guess, myself. So you can kind of see where this is going, where things kind of don't line up in the sense that they're trying to say it does, you know. So
But why? We got to ask ourselves why is that? Why do they put so much additives into the food? Why do they want to destroy us or control us? Because basically, if you take a look at the drinking water, especially here, I mean, Florida just has 60% of fluoride and chlorine in the water, which is pretty low compared to the other states. But
yeah, but
still,
just
exactly, just. But so I was super shocked. I come from a country where you can basically drink your showering water. Like our water is that clean. We don't have fluoride inside. Um, I think there is just England and the whole of Europe that has fluoride in the water, and this makes me think because what is fluoride good for? Actually, it's a it's like poison, right?
it's a
And
poison. Yeah,
yeah, it's a poison. It's a mind-altering drug, actually. And the problem is that the moment they put these additives into the food, that what they're trying to do is they are trying to control us through these additives in the food that are mind-altering. And the thing is, we always had the sheep culture. We always had that, like the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire. We always had people following mainstream and living a life that might not be healthy for them. But the thing is, right now with technology and improvements like the invention of internet and everything, they can't hide that anymore. They can perform the cheap culture that like they did. What they have to do right now is use drugs or poison that they kind of put in our food and into our water to keep controlling us. And this is what's scary. And this is what people have to understand.
Yeah, that's very true. That was a good
Yeah.
point.
Thank you.
And I think the when it comes down to the media, I'm very passionate about talking about that, and well, especially first of all, when I was age 6, of course, one of millions of kids probably who were put on Ritalin, Adderall, different stuff
It's a
like that, different
drug-free zone. The drug-free zone. There's some
yeah,
Ritalin.
different medications like that, and this was rolled out like 1991. So this was very early 90s, right before we got into the Clinton era, and when pharmaceuticals started really being pushed onto kids at an earlier age and an earlier age. So basically it comes down to you have these trained specialists by the state or whomever, and they come into schools, and because a teacher maybe said the kid can't focus, he can't relax, maybe he's too energetic, he can't comprehend. Most for me was like he can't comprehend when he's reading, he can't focus, and he always seems to be like daydreaming and stuff like that. And so I was put on medication like breakfast and lunch for about 6 or 7 years, and it's it's really crazy because they really want you to be more of a zombie. They really want you to be more controlled, so that way they can teach you what they want you to know.
They're
Because I remember as a
indoctrinating them.
kid, like creativity and imagination flows when a child's very young. So when a child's brain is developing at a young age, if they have a drug that's hindering their creative process or their cognition or their proper brain development, then they can have adverse effects for whatever reason. And basically, you have innocent children and good parents, good-hearted parents, that are trusting the system and trusting the doctors and trusting the specialists that this medication is safe, it's been approved, and stuff like that. And it's just so much more than that. It's the media, it's the psychological control, and the kids. It's so easy to psychologically control the children, especially with colors and all the sugars and the food and the commercials and the TV shows and all the consuming
The behavior.
and the behavior.
And the problem, though, is the moment you control the children and you get them addicted at such a young age, you completely make them inactive. Our problem is we're living in a society that is kind of characterized through obesity. Like this is one of I've never seen so many big people in my whole life, to be honest. And no, I don't. I'm not making jokes about
No,
that.
no,
I
I
don't want to
completely
laugh
agree.
about
I
that
understand what you're trying to say.
because
Don't.
the thing is, I think it's a way of destroying yourself, and this overconsumption of everything, not just food. We buy too much, yeah. We have so much trash, and no one thinks about that. And the more we buy, the more is produced, the more we harm the environment because these big corporations, they give a shit about producing in an environmentally friendly way. So we have to wake up, and we always have a choice. And I think it's important to understand that the power is in our hands, and we don't vote by going like to the elections and kind of making a cross or whatever. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that at all anymore. What I believe is that you vote with your money, and if you spend your money wisely, then you don't go to big corporations that exploit other people and that give a shit about human rights and about our health, because what they practically do is we pay them for poisoning us, which is totally absurd if you
But
think about that.
you got to look at it
Using
from the
our
business
tax dollars
aspect.
at the same time.
Yeah, but you got to look at
Like
it
we have schools closing, they can't pay teachers,
Yeah.
unemployment. There's people living on the streets, and for example, personally, not to get into politics too much, but the foreign policy is pretty crazy, and I don't agree with a lot of things that we do overseas. But it's really crazy to know that men and women who go and fight and die for what America stands for, and when they come home, whether it be 10 years or 20 years or 30 years down the road, and they don't get health care or
Yeah.
get taken care of at the proper time when they need it. And
or
that's
each
the thing, we
war
see
they
so
come
many.
back. The thing that scares me is that it seems like each war that we come back from, more and more soldiers come back with PSTD. No, sorry, PTSD, and post-traumatic stress disorder. I said it right the first time. Whatever.
And so many who
Whatever.
have
But you know what I'm
cancer.
talking about. Like it's really
Yeah.
annoying that seeing some of my friends are getting put on all these different drugs to be, to push them down, and they're fine. Most of them are. Yeah, you're gonna still have to go through all the stuff that you've seen, and it goes off perception of everybody else also. But
Yeah,
it's
and
just
get
I
this,
feel
man.
bad. Like you get your rights taken away. You can't, you don't have the right to buy firearms after you've been trained to
Yeah.
use them. You don't get, it's ridiculous. Your veteran status is now. It used to be like an honor to be a veteran. Even during, you came back, and then it all kind of stopped. Maybe around like Vietnam when people. You ever talk to a Vietnam vet?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, how
what
many
happened
times?
the other day. We were coming out of Publix, and there was a Vietnam veteran. Well, he didn't say Vietnam, but he just said vet, and we gave him $3 actually. And we asked him what war he served in, was Vietnam, and he said that was it.
And
You
he
know.
doesn't want to go back to war because he doesn't want to support corporations. He doesn't want to give his life for corporations that don't do anything for him or anything for this country
It,
except for exploiting it.
I've
Yeah,
met a
that's the thing.
lot of
Like,
people in while my travels in different countries. I've met a lot of different, ex-military people that have been like, it's not even worth going back because I'm treated like, it used to be you were on a standard, like you're a veteran, you fought for a country. Here you go, you're, the most honorable person. We love you. Now it's like, oh, you're a dirtbag. You have a problem. You did some things. It's completely backwards,
the,
and I don't agree with it.
yeah, one quick side note caveat right here. We heard from Jeremy Scahill, who wrote Blackwater, a really, really amazing investigative journalist. Jeremy Scahill, a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, check his Twitter and his new movie's coming out right now, Dirty Wars. If you have a chance, you should check that one
Yeah,
out.
that was at Sundance Film Festival this past year, and I heard really good things about that. But so basically,
What you want to say about
oh,
that?
he was saying that
What were you want to say? What you wanted to say about Scarlett, about the
oh,
wars?
okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Basically, he was saying how much does our government and architects and engineers and the people who are putting these bases together really care about us? How many inspections are they doing?
Yeah.
Because they're putting together these things so cheaply done, and these desert operations, like they have Burger King and Starbucks and all these like corporate restaurants in these little areas, and they did. There's soldiers dying from showers because not, improper electrical like setup, and they have all these electrical lines laid out and stuff, and all these showers are done improperly, installed improperly. So basically, my point is like it's crazy to think if you think of a soldier dying in a war or a foreign country, think in battle, not in the shower due to improper installation. I mean that it doesn't make any sense. So there's and the thing that's so interesting, we watched the movie called The Hunger Games the other day, and that was really inspiring, really eye-opening movie. And Fatina would like to kind of comment on this movie about how it all comes down to if we all stop doing it, then there's no show. You
Exactly.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
Yeah. If we stop buying this shitty food, then there is no cancer anymore. Then there is no diabetes anymore. If we stop playing like, or if we stop um, buying what they want us to buy, or if we stop to communicate the way they want us to communicate because they don't want us to communicate. Not in the real, like not exchange information. This is not what they want. Not the information that they want to try to suppress.
It's the same as ancient times, like divide and conquer.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
no, that's what
keeping
they've been doing the entire time. Uh,
exactly, and keeping people in a state of shock. But the question, or what we should focus on, is what are possible solutions,
what can
And
we do ourselves first? Like, what
exactly,
can you do? You know, like we were talking about, like 50 to 60 or 50 to 70 years, what have really changed? Cancer started going up and diabetes started going up. It's because everything comes down to pretty much we're using petroleum. We're running tractors off of it. They're it's an easy thing to make fertilizers and all, and we're putting this stuff into our bodies and we're starting to get sick, but it still has like a craving factor to it because you
exactly,
still want it. Or you feel bad because your kid has it, and then you buy it for them, and then it's in the house, and then you go out and eat it because it's available. You know, I don't want to waste money, so I'll eat it. And then you get sick, or you're not getting sick, but you're slowly stop. You know, you're just slowly going into that process, and that's why a lot of people talk to people that try to go for a full raw vegan diet. I tried it, didn't work. You know, you can't just flip the switch and say I'm going to become a raw vegan because your body will completely reject everything that you try to put in because it goes through an intense detox. That's why we say like go slow into it if you want to do that. If you want to be you know want to be a meat eater, that's fine. I like to eat meat, but I'm slowly going into I'll kill it myself. I think people will slowly stop to eat as much if you have to go out and harvest, grow, forage, or kill your and raise your own meat and food. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of makes sense. It's so much easier. They went off. Yeah, computer pros again, and we'll be back on shortly.
Okay, now I'm on again.
Yep, you are back on. All right. So I think where we left off is trying to say the solution parts of what we do, of changing from yourself and then branching outward. That's why we start community gardens. That's why you do what you do, and that's why we do what we do up here. And trying to bring the community back together and actually be, the neighborhood with actual neighbors and talking. It's a little bit different in a city situation. If you're in a more rural area, everyone knows each other and they wave and they're happy and they're nice. Here, it's more like, get out of my business. I don't want you looking at me. Don't, it's a completely different feel up here.
Yeah. But let's come back to the solutions, Jim.
Yep.
What I basically wanted to say is, what can we do to change all this, or not to become part of this? Because the moment we stop, they don't have any power anymore. And Camden and I founded actually permaculture, and I hope Camden is coming back in a minute. We founded permaculture. Um, a nonprofit basically to help communities and to empower people and individuals, not just communities, but everyone who needs help and who wants to learn more about permaculture and how to grow your own food and how to become self-sufficient and independent from all this system. This is what we want to do. We want to teach people. And I think the moment ex-veterans and children that had been hurt in their life put their fingers into the soil, the moment they work with the land, the moment they start planting seeds, the moment they start sharing the love and reconnecting with nature, this is the moment when healing starts. And I think then the moment you grow your own food, you eat your own food, this is when you feel totally free. And this is the kind of state we want to enable people to enter to or to live. And this is why we actually founded permaculture We're trying to support people, and mostly children, and teaching children from beginning on what is a fulfilled life, what makes a fulfilled and happy life, and how can you achieve it. And I don't think it's by buying stuff. I think it is by growing stuff. It is by producing stuff yourself, by finding yourself in your work, in your daily work.
Yeah, I think we should play the same game that they're playing. If they're gonna start, making all these fancy commercials for fancy cereal and all this other stuff. I mean, I literally watched a kid one time at a grocery store go, "I want this because I saw it on TV. It looked cool,"
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Oh." So we can do the same thing. Let's not target, but let's go teach and help the children. Be like, listen, it was like on Facebook and social media where it said like, you want to show a kid a miracle, show them how to grow food. And that's true. You show them literally, this is everything that's involved to do what you get on your plate. And you can incorporate so much through the school system. You can bring in biology, chemistry. You can start bringing in physics. You can start doing almost anything. You can bring in history.
You can,
It's
you know,
all connected.
exactly. It's all connected. And what we want to have is gardening as part of the curriculum. What we want to have is a, a subject where kids learn how to work with money, because most people don't know how how to avoid banks maybe. This is what we're focusing on right now, because we got into some research with banks and stuff, and if you understand how connected everything is, this whole system, into bringing people into debt and keeping them into debt, so they can't move anymore, they can't grow their own food anymore, because the moment you're in debt and you want to buy a place to have a garden or whatever, they take your house away, and you don't have any possibilities to grow your own food anymore.
Yeah, and the big thing is, when we were growing up, we used cash so much more, and our parents used cash so much more. And of course, I use plastic card all the time, and sometimes we do use cash also. And of course, they're more pushing for everything electronic, everything card, everything swipe, and which is kind of cool. It's convenient, and all that stuff they tell you. But in the end, imagine one day you go into a store and they say, "Oh, you're sorry, your card's unavailable, it doesn't work," so you pay with cash. But the next time you go in, say 2 years later, or 3 years later, or less than 5 years later, and let's say your card doesn't work and there's no option to use cash, what can you do? You can't do
Yeah.
anything. What are you going to go? Go to a bank or bank teller and then get transferred to the bank manager? "Oh, we're so sorry to hear this. We'll try to help you out. We'll send you something in the mail, or we'll give you a call in 2 or 3 days and let you know what's going on." Meanwhile, something could happen. Anyway, you call back 2 or 3 days later. "Oh, sorry, we have to do a further investigation of what's going on." And meanwhile, you can't do anything. Your entire life is basically frozen. So that's why it's all about being sustainable, setting yourself up, you, your loved ones, your family and friends, as many as you can as possible. And I remember there was a Bill Mollison and the Jeff Lawton interview one time, and they basically said the ultimate goal with everything you do is, in the beginning, say you have a 500 class of students, and say you make 10 teachers out of that 500 students, and then 2 years later, say you have a group of 200 students, and say you make 100 teachers out of that. And then 5 years later, once you've more mastered your craft and your literary content and your actions and the way you present yourself and the way you live your life, the way you live your life and the way you treat others, say you have 100 people and you make 100 teachers. So the more teachers we create, the more teachers we can create, the more teachers we create, the more abundance, the more love, the more joy, the more happiness we can have in this world. And that's the only way to do it. And I actually had a philosophy teacher. I was a student assistant this year,
Oh, yeah.
graduate assistant, excuse me. And anyway, so one of the last classes he was holding, he was straight up just saying, like, I don't care about people starving in third world countries. This is my coffee I purchased from such and such place. I bought it with my own money, and I don't care about who gets $1 a day and that whole thing. Like, just totally like, no. But and also he was you know, he was like, he did 6 years in the special forces, so he saw a lot of things, went to a lot of countries and a lot of hostile environments, a lot of crazy. You're hearing gunshots, and you're special forces for 6 years, so you see a lot of stuff. Anyway, my point being is, what we need to learn as a species, as people, as humans, is not only having compassion for your family or want the people you love, the people that you feel close with is having compassion for all humans. Because the thing is he may not have compassion for people in third world countries or developing worlds or people who are born into less fortunate situations. But I guarantee it, if, for example, if one of his somebody in his unit or his squad was wounded or was killed in action or something like that, I'm sure he would feel something, and it's because he feels compassion with his people that he feels close with. And we have to, if we're going to evolve and transform into something better and to more peace being, then we have to have compassion for everybody. And one time the Dalai Lama at Berkeley made a great speech, and he was saying that when a baby at a young age, the mother should be so close to that baby because they hear the heartbeat and they learn empathy, they learn to be loved, because of course not everybody has the best upraisings and perfect childhoods and everything like that. But it's a proven fact that the more love a kid receives in the earlier stages, the more love that child and teenager and young adult can give in the future. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah,
So it's
I mean,
like the
it
more
comes
love you
down.
get, the more you know how to receive. And it's amazing how I'm living. This is the longest I've ever lived with anybody, and we're the opposite sex, of course. She's my mate and everything. And it's interesting how when I was a kid, we always did blessings. Even actually breakfast most of the time. We always did it for dinner until my brother went away to college, and then of course schedules got crazy with swimming practice and stuff like that. But anyway, my point being is, when you grow up with certain values or practices or rituals or stuff like that, it really carries on in your later life, and especially when you get into a relationship or thinking about having a family and stuff like that, it really makes a big difference. And I feel like this is what we need to teach the kids and the teenagers. And no child is born into this world wanting to do bad. That's just a load of BS. These kids grow up in a crazy environment, school, a teacher, administration that could probably care less about their future, so focused on titles and states and funding and stuff like that, instead of focusing on the kids' development, physically, mentally, and spiritually, the trinity of knowledge. And that's what we're trying to go for. We have to develop these kids on a full scale, not drilling them down so much facts and data and intelligence and intellectual ability. We have to develop like social, emotional, and spiritual intelligence and that kind of a development, because it's we have how can we have peace and love and have companies out of our life if we can't even get along with our neighbors? Like we don't, oh, Jim, you have a different color eye than me, but we don't go on the news and say that he was the bank robber had blue eyes and blonde hair. You know what I mean? You
They
don't
did
hear
a
that. You
study on
hear
that. They
you
did a
hear
study on
something
that.
else. You hear a different race, you hear a different color name typically, and it's all aimed at trying to create conflict, where the middle class can get mad at this class and the upper class can do to this the class, and it's just to create class warfare. And
No, they
but
did
it's
a
so
study
evident
on that.
now. And like you said, Jim, in the beginning of the show, it's the internet. It's the amazing ability that we can get on and watch videos from all around the world. We can watch hundreds of years compressed into like an hour documentary. It's absolutely amazing what we get to see now. And it's going to be even more amazing. Like, I got a nephew who's just like 3 years old right now, and it's going to be amazing what he can do at 10 years old.
If they
But
don't, if you don't get them all indoctrinated and telling them to do certain things, and that's where, like, I mean, I was looking at my 10-year-old cousin. I mean, he's an awesome
yeah,
artist. And I'm
and
like,
I
I
just
don't
wanted
want
to,
him. I'm like looking at him, like, oh my God, don't. God,
yeah,
fluoride's already in the water. Can't really do much about that.
yeah,
Plus, fluoride is even in baby drinking water. I saw that last time in Publix or whatever. And
Not
they
only
put that
that,
shit
but
already into the baby drinking water.
the
yeah, and
welfare, breast, yeah, baby formula that they give out. I think it was 6 out of the top 10 that they usually give out for welfare has GMO soy-based ingredients in it. So you're just producing more processed people. You're not. It's like, oh, it looks like you're giving out a free giveaway, but you're really just turning them into a little robot that you want later in life.
yeah, man. You want to hit
Yeah, I
that?
just want to say something about the soy, to be really careful with the soy consumption. Like if you check the ingredients list of any kind of food, even if it is a tomato sauce or whatever, they always put soy into it. What most people don't know is that soy can regulate your hormone production. It changes your hormone levels and everything.
I
It messes
always
it
tell
up.
males do not drink soy. It raises your
Exactly.
estrogen levels, and you wonder why
Exactly.
you get a thing called bitch tits.
The same with
You know, it's not really the best thing. People are like, yeah, I drink soy milk and I have this for the soy protein. I'm like, mm-mm, don't do it. I've seen it happen, and people just you wonder why I can't get rid of this, the fat up here or this and that. And I'm like, it's your hormones are imbalanced. You went
Yeah.
out of homeostasis just because you ate something that you really shouldn't have been eating.
We're going from hormones to something kind of jumping far ahead on this
I
conversation,
know,
as
I know,
usual.
but
But I just want to say something like when I was thinking about my nephew, and you think about innocence, and you think about children that have never really experienced life yet, and you see that innocence, and you see that juiciness in their skin of like, wow, what could this child be capable of? What could they do? Like, what if there's 100 Gandhis in like one room? I mean, it's that kind of mentality, and basically I don't want to see my nephew, the way technology is going so fast with all this biotechnology and nanotechnology. What I'm basically saying is I don't want to see my nephew or my kids all wired up and have brain chips and running on robotics,
oh, you're
on
talking
them and
about the
stuff like that.
singularity
I
theory.
would rather see a world where you walk outside, the air is cleaner, you can jump in the river again, and we're cleaning up this radiation that's in the air. Everybody's growing their own food, connected to the land, connected to nature, and their own way, and living in a non-biased and borderless world.
So you're talking about the singularity theory and how you fear it, even though, I mean, to me, it's probably going to happen eventually, but it's just like anything else. It can go in a positive way or it can go into a negative way. And I had the craziest dream. If you didn't read it, I put it up. I'm going to probably add it to the website itself and have
No,
it
we
later.
we saw it, buddy.
Dude, craziest dream. I'm going to be making a video because besides being told that I should be making a video about it, is from myself that there's no way. And other people that read it came up to me and were like, you might want to make a video if we were, there's so many people that dream and that are in this world that possibly could have had the same dream. And dude, it was the freakiest thing, dude. I swear to God, I have to. We're having like a drawing contest and everything too about it. So it's pretty. That's a whole other topic. I'm sorry, but yes, you're right. It would be weird. Um, I just wish that we could have our children. There's some schools that are out there. Some schools that are out there that actually have, like my cousins go to like I think a private school, and they have an actual gardening club after class hours, and they had so many kids like it
But Jim, you
that
know what
they
the
have two
problem is?
parts.
Jim, the problem is you just said it. It's a private school,
I
okay?
know,
So
but
this
we can
curriculum is
transfer it
not
over.
available for everyone. But this is what we want. We want every child to be able to participate in good education, to be able to know about gardening, to be able to know about what is good for me and what is not, and to enable children to fight for their rights because
And
this is what they
this
have to learn.
and this is what I'm trying to propose in my own town right now is that not only am I trying to get a community garden in the town, but I'm also trying to push at least a couple years later. We have 4 elementary schools, public elementary schools. I would like to see at least a community garden in the backyard of that, or in like the recess area and everything. They should really have 2 times that you go out and play. Literally, you have reset for 45 minutes to an hour or whatever, and then you should have a class where it just deals about playing out in the dirt, getting dirty, having fun. Grow your own food. You can save money. All these schools are trying to make cutbacks on, we want healthy food and we won't want, if it has this much sugar, we won't sell it anymore, or we buy the smaller package and then the kids just buy 4 of them instead of 2. And it's just have them grow their own food. You teach them, you work hard and you receive, you work and you receive, it's
Yeah.
give and take type of thing where you
Plus,
get back what you put in.
plus food really does something to your mind. I've been into
Maybe they don't
raw.
want to do that though. Maybe there's a reason they're not doing it. So I think you just froze again. Dang. They're going to have to come back in. Feel like an idiot doing this. La la la. Hope I can edit this. We'll be right back. And they're back. I hope I can edit this. I don't think I
Okay, we're
can,
back
but we'll
again.
see. So we'll
Let's
talk
get
for
back
like
to
the next 5 minutes and try to go over the main points of what we were trying to talk about. So this is what happens. When we get together, we kind of veer off, and this is why we're going to be announcing something at the end. But first, let's go back to talking about why the importance of the March Against Monsanto.
Exactly.
So, Jim,
Take it off.
why don't you bring up something? Why don't you ask us a detailed question?
But no, I am interested on seeing. I'm going to one up here. We got some around the area, and I was going to start one in Florida myself, and we found out that there is one where I wanted to start it.
Yeah,
But
we'll
I'm
be
up here, but you'll be in Orlando, right?
we'll be in Orlando downtown. This is where it's taking place. And hey, Tony Mix, thank you for the invitation. We got it today. We'll meet Tony Mix and we'll meet Vince. Hey, Vince, another friend, and we'll be 4 people. But maybe other people want to join us. We'll be downtown, so look out for us. Join us in the March Against Monsanto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were just talking on the phone a little bit, trying to briefly go over what we're going to talk about now. Encouraging, I guess the main drift or gist of what we were talking about is encouraging the children of tomorrow, today, and telling them grow food, feel better, be better. I mean, apparently you got all these people out there that actually look phenomenal because they're eating better food. I mean, if you've been into other countries that don't sell crap food, they usually look better at older ages. Also, what else were we going over? So much that we hit on today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun show. It
Yeah.
was like our first show to everybody listening right now. like I said, just three people coming together from three different completely parts around the world, and we kind of talk about it. We have a lot of stuff we love to talk about from everything you can possibly imagine. We love people like Bruce Lipton and
David Icke and
David,
Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock and Joe Rogan, and on Facebook, like some of our really close friends for us, like Kurt Cummins with Keystone Herbs
Just
and
talking to him
Anthony
right now.
Anderson.
Raw Utah and
Yeah,
Patricia
and Grow Paradise and all that great stuff, and Raw Utah and Patricia and all the great stuff that people post
Yeah.
all the time. Every single one of us, we see your post, even if we don't click the like button, and just keep doing what you're doing and don't stop and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And it's just more fuel for the fire. Just stay motivated. Go through whatever you're going through and keep pushing. Never give up. Never give up.
God, all the people
Share
that
and
all the
share your
people that I've been,
knowledge with
you
us,
know,
because we're very interested in listening to our audience, like what they have to say about organic food. So what we would love to have you is to call in and ask us questions, get into a discussion, because I think we can learn a lot from each other, and the more we exchange, the more we expand consciousness, and that's what we're here for, right?
yeah. And what we're trying to get into, as we're saying, call in and type in stuff. We're making this big news. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to be called now the Freedom Matters podcast. We will be starting this every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Um, crap.
Rain
Yeah,
or
I
shine,
guess I'll.
man.
Well, that's the beautiful thing. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle of the woods and I'm somewhere halfway across the country. It's still going to go live. So this is going to be a new podcast. We're going to be working on transitioning to like a new website and everything, but we're going to be taking in calls. We're going to be having on some awesome guests. You can call them special guests, but you're going to really want to watch this. So I'm pretty happy. Um, because we're so broad, but we also accept each thing. We're not trying to be like any of those other alternative news that all you listen to is they're trying to scare you. It seems like they're playing into that whole, get the people pissed off and do this and do that, and you can't wake the people up. The people that are already watching this are going to either watch it months down the line when they realize that, hey, we want to catch up and you can see it. And I've seen it. I'm still watching videos from people from months and years ago and be like, holy crap, how did I miss this?
Mhm.
And we're just trying to do this in a positive way and stay focused and bringing it out and not only just talk about it but actually seeing what's going on in Florida down there, and maybe we can bring in new people, and what's going on in California. They're 5 to 10 years ahead of us, and what's going on in other countries, and all the new people that we can start bringing on to this show. So we're going to be doing that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make a quick note. A big thanks to Sean Hamilton for all the stuff that he does and his art and his movement and message, and my good friend Ralph Guinta, who's really into permaculture. He's a great teacher, and in fact, so Ralph Guinta, and Sean Hamilton, we hope to have on the show very soon.
Yeah, we will be having, I think we've been doing the networking part for about a year or so now. And I think we'll have, when we were talking about like each person, I was like, can you imagine if we all lived together in the same area? Can you imagine what our little city would look like? Just be edible food everywhere and all. And probably want to be burned down by somebody, but it would be a really cool place. So I'm glad that we can all connect in some way, because you're not alone. No one's alone. You're going to be probably shunned from maybe your family at first for thinking the way you do, but this is an overwhelming experience when you first wake up and you start going, oh my God, there's this, and then you links to other things like it's not just GMOs, it's also fracking, which also goes into your meat supply, which also goes into hormones and antibiotics. So it's pretty intense.
And this
So,
is why I want to people to call in, and maybe if you want to, you can also send us topics if you have like special topics you want us to discuss here. We have like different emails. You can send it to Permacultura, you can send it to Jim, and just let us know what you're interested in, what kind of topics you want to discuss. Maybe you have questions to us, and
yeah, I'm a very open person about who I
Me
am.
too.
Like I said, I use this more as like online resume, like I talk about a lot. And anybody, like, we'll put the links to the Facebook link so you can message them, permacultura through them. You can contact me through YouTube, Facebook, Google, whatever. We can do all this together. We'll set it all up for you. And then eventually we'll get to the point where we can either, I don't know, if we're going to have to rig it up to a really cheap way of saying, hey, jump in on Skype, and then we'll have another computer next to it, and then we can listen to it. Or literally you can call in. I think we have a pretty good one through another company. So things might be changing up. But we'll keep everyone up to date about that. Next Wednesday, we'll be doing one. Are we going to be doing a show on Monday talking about how the weekend went? Because remember, the March Against Monsanto is this Saturday, May 25th, 2013.
And what we're going to do, and what Jim is going to do, because we know already, we're going to document it. So get your iPhones ready, document as much as you can, because the more you spread the message, the more you put it on the internet, the more people get aware of.
I got to send you that video. Apparently, we cannot do that through YouTube. But there's some things that were going around. I'm not 100% sure if it was true or not. I wouldn't doubt it. But they were saying that they didn't want to have really any coverage on the March Against Monsanto, but we'll see what we can do. There is, what I've heard, people are going to be doing a global documentary. So I figured get as much footage as you can from your area, and I'm going to submit mine. I'm going to submit mine to put it in the documentary. So I'm interested in seeing what other people are doing. And also, when you're out there, talk to people. Remember, they're like-minded people. So if you are going to go out there, you can talk to them about, you might have a master gardener in there along with some noob that just started, tomorrow. He's going to be like, oh, I'm going to start growing my own food. How do I start? Get in touch with them. Get their contact information. Get their email. Say, hey, we want to start a community garden in our own area. We want to do this and start learning and having workshops. We can do that now. We can do this today. We have the power. It is us. We, the people. It's more us than them. So this is going to be fun.
And we got to do it together. We got to stand up together for our rights. That's it.
So
yeah,
I think we'll leave it off at that because we're definitely going to be doing more. There's too much to talk about.
Stand up
I love you guys.
You're right.
Yeah. Stand up.
God, I wish he was still alive.
Tupac also, man.
Yeah, Tupac is awesome.
He's still alive. I saw him in Costa Rica.
We really appreciate everybody for sticking around.
They just froze. Well, we're going to end it there. He's probably going to say, really, really glad that everyone showed up and all. And my picture's not showing up for some reason. But we'll be having this every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. And if you like it, show up. I'll put the links all below. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you guys later. Sorry for the